Hey, Emal, just saw your post here on LinkedIn about the comparing the AI matches with the MT matches, and you said here in the in one of the statements, like number 3.3, was that all engines were comparing them. That talking about the relative clause, use of the relative clause, and that was not good. And that you said there's one of the longest ways to add context to a noun. Relative clauses are red flags for trained writers. Compound nouns, adjectives, participles are all shorter. Unfortunately, and machine translation systems use relative clauses liberally. I want to address that. Uh, Compound nouns are not always recommended. Now they are in most likely academic, training programs. Okay, but in corporate training programs, uh, in industry, especially where there has ever been a focus on a type of controlled language, it is not always recommended. So I'll give a couple examples. Simplified Technical English, STE by Boeing, and of course that is a kind of an offshoot of the ACMA, AECMA, uh, um, writing simplified English for the aeronautical field, which is not called ASTD or ATD. It kind of keeps changing names because of different things over the time. The recommendation has always been in the standard for that to only use a maximum of 3 nouns in a technical noun. So you're not allowed to go beyond 3. And that has also been kind of a situation with certain types of controlled language writing systems and the accompanying software, and it does exist. Sorry, I got a little background noise here. They got a kitchen. They're kind of putting me away. I'm in a restaurant, but the there have been different ones. I mean, Sharon O'Brien did comparison of quite a few of these. I did a lot of work on looking at my 2004 presentations. I think 2004 and 2005 presentations at the STC in Paris and the talk at Besançon, on comparing the different types of technical writing or the control language kind of applications or writing systems. And there were monolingual ones and multilingual ones, and there were some at CLAW 2003 as well, where I think Ursula, I think she was the one that gave the Richard that she talked about some of the multilingual ones and different views too. So Sharon O'Brien did some stuff. Ursula, Richard did. I did some of these, and there were cases where for it is not you will not there are not necessarily it's not allowed to use a lot of compound nouns just because the system's not able to handle for translation purposes or even for reading purposes, for human reading purposes. There was a scorecard kind of evaluation that was done previously to 2000. I can't remember the names. I think it was Steve. I can't remember his last name. Started with Steve. Started with C as his last name, right? He actually did a scorecard analysis in monolingual reading for aeronautical English, and he was doing some checking on that, and it was, the goal was not to do multilingual. It was to do just monolingual. The aeronautical field is known for this, basically. There was some French version of the technical English that was created, and then John Chandieu did one for in French as well. There have been attempts to do. There have been certain ones that were done for that in French, but it mainly all in English. But the focus was because of the inability for the software to be able to, or because it's just technical nouns that are groups of 3 are harder to understand. Once you get 4 and above, it's hard for a human or the computer actually kind of break down what is what belongs to what. So you're going to find a different kind of a point of view based on using any of these kind of simplified or controlled language, plain language things to break it, to not create too many technical noun groups basically, because they're just they're hard to analyze. They're hard to figure out what they are. Break them down. So but that's specific to corporate kind of standard corporate technical writing. It all depends, and it tends to be when you're using software applications, so to do the analysis. And the software applications just don't know what to do with it. So that's a technical constraint. This is likely changing now. It'd be interesting to see what some of the applications netted out, like what does Acrolinks do? What does Congri do? They're kind of the advanced. They've been going around. They've been used for a long time. How do they handle noun groups that are more than 3? That kind of be interesting to look at. But I think, and I did not take a technical writing training program. I just went into Caterpillar training, training people. So I did not take the. I was not a. Didn't do a formal education. A trained technical writer. I was a linguist, so I had a different point of view. And there are technical programs. There's one in Michigan and several. There are a few that you can do masters and PhDs. And though I'm not sure what they teach specifically, those are more academic programs. But in corporate ones, you're going to get this other point of view, and because you've got to use some kind of software application usually to be able to do the writing, and those can be a lot of the XML, and back then it was HTML, and then editors that could handle it. So and those whole lists are in those talks I mentioned. The STC Paris talk in 2004 April, I gave a whole list of them. But maybe today the new apps, the new versions can handle possibly, or maybe not. They're not doing dictionaries. See, if you're not doing dictionaries, then you don't have a database to be able to handle these technical nouns, right? So that's where it gets kind of complicated. So it'd kind of be interesting what it is. Another thing to kind of look on the weekends, right? So, okay, take care. Have a good one.